Okay, so what I've done here is I've set up my tripod so that I can zoom in a little bit. I'm hoping I can anyway, and show you what I'm doing. I want you to see what I'm doing with this swapping out the system board on a Dell Studio 9000 XPS. Now the system has been modded considerably. I'm going to change all this on the system. I have to remove the, if you saw the introduction video, I have to completely remove the system board first. I may just give it back the original heatsink, because the original heatsink does not look that bad. It looks like a pretty good heatsink. Regardless, the system board has to be changed. I'll show you the capacitors I'm concerned about after I remove the board. But I have marked down in my booklet where the data lines, the data SATA cables or wires, lines, go, to keep everything as close to the original as possible. And I'll show you the replacement system board at some point too. But right now, the time has come for the removal. So I just thought I'd point out that, yeah, it has been modded quite a bit, but and quite functional, I might add. So I wanted to give you some better lighting, and I didn't really want to disconnect and unscrew my overhead work light and my work table in the basement, where I normally do repairs when I'm not doing video work, because there's not enough room in there in the basement for me to do video work. I did try it once, and it wasn't that great. It's better for me to do it here. Acoustics are better here, so I do it right on my dining room table. So I have to move this light, and it's a pretty bright light. The first thing I want to do is remove this bar. I don't know if the video can show. Yeah. Okay, this bar. So I want to remove this bar. Just this retainer bar, or whatever it's called. Just so I have a little bit more room to work around. And let's see. I don't know if the camera can show that, but give you some light. There are some. Let's see. What is it showing? I think it shows it fairly well. Right here and here, these are the SATA connectors, and I have that written down in the book, which colors and types of blind go to what, so that I can leave them connected to the drives but disconnect them from the system board. So to remove a SATA connector, you press down if it's clipped. You press down on the clip and then gently pull it out. That's one. There's another one that's clipped. So press gently down on the clip, and preferably you want to try to remove it from the actual head. Don't pull on the wire itself, right? Just like a normal household plug, you don't want to pull on the wire, but the actual head of the plug. Okay, and then this one, and this bottom one is clipped also, so now those are unclipped. And then there's the orange one, which goes all the way up to the CD DVD ROM drive. Now there are also some proprietary clips here, plugs that have to be removed, and sometimes those can be a little bit tougher. Let's see, there we are. That's one. That wasn't too bad. There. All right. So that's the problem with proprietary lines, and you can't, like, for example, some of the Dell USB, the pins are different, the way the pins are arranged, and you can do some serious damage if you don't use the Dell proprietary USB cords. Okay, this is just a fan connection that I'm going to attempt to undo. It's for a system fan, but I had done a double air intake on this cooler, but I think the original fan, after heatsink, looking at it, it's not a bad heatsink. I may just go with that. Okay, the cooler. I'll worry about the cooler later. Yeah. They did have a pretty good heatsink on them, so for what she's doing, she may not really need a better cooler. Okay, and I'll remove one of the bolts. Normally I have a tray or something I put those in. They're not bolts. It's a nut that just holds it to the system board, to the chassis. I'm undoing some of them. Doesn't really matter. The RAM is going to have to be removed. Probably could show you that with these older boards. Okay, there's also this CPU fan. I may as well disconnect that off. That was kind of a rinky-dink system. I used AMD screws to hold this cooler fan on, but I don't think, yeah. But it worked very well. It kept it very cool. So, and it's all enclosed inside anyway, so, you know, the aesthetics are not really a chief concern here. Take that one out. I'm just doing this to make a little more clearance. Fan, a little dusty, needs to be cleaned up. There we are. If you look here, right here, and here, you can see the bubbled, domed capacitors right where the power supply plug is, and the excretion that you know, they've gassed out. They're no good. They can be replaced. It's possible. You know, it's not the end of the world, but you know, if you know what you're doing, you can replace those capacitors. But you have to be very careful what you're doing. These motherboards are layered, and so you have to really watch what you're doing there. Okay, so to remove the RAM, these two clips that one on either side, they both pull back. See, and then that's one stick of RAM. This is the type of RAM that she's been running. HyperX DDR3 RAM. Very good RAM. This system RAM, this is the Genesis. This is back, you know, when HyperX is actually known for high quality Kingston RAM. This RAM is from another time, and very good RAM, very good RAM. It can be XMP'd, this particular brand, line, whatever, but not on this system board. This system board does not allow for that kind of overclocking of RAM, unfortunately. But still, it serves her needs quite well. We're talking tri-channel, which is, you don't see too many system boards anymore that are tri-channel RAM. But there are some advantages to tri-channel RAM, and I won't knock it. This whole system served me very well back in the day, but I don't know if you can see that. Maybe if I undo the power plug here, the power connector, and move that cable. Now perhaps the capacitors are more visible. These two capacitors are definitely, they're done, they're shot. And I'm really surprised that the system board still runs even though those two capacitors are gone, because I'm quite certain they have something to do with the power supply. And yeah, that's quite impressive that the computer still runs regardless. Okay, now with cards, like this is a sound card, I don't really have to worry too much. I'll leave the wire cable connected to it, but it only goes in one possible place, right? So that's not as much of a concern, you know, regarding cards. And this serial port, which he never really uses, but it's there for in the event type of thing when it's needed, and it doesn't run on doesn't take a PCIe slot, so it's in a good place because there's no slot here, right? You see that? There's no slot there. I'm being musical. It's not nice. But that will have to be also disconnected directly from the board. I don't know if the camera has that or not, so I want to look. Maybe if I move the camera in a little bit. I don't want it to be blurry. Like that's the one thing I'm concerned about. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. I don't know if this is helping or not, but because you know, you see these PC builder videos, but they never really show what they're doing, you know, with their hands and whatnot, right? Well, I want to show you what I'm doing with my hands, so that you know how it's done and precisely what I'm doing. So this here, I guess this is not a serial port. This is a USB, probably 1.0 at the back. So we're going to remove that, see, that blue header that it connected to on the board. This is an X58 platform. The somewhere there's a 770 lettering or number on this particular model board that makes it what it should be. And yeah, so yeah, all these wires, everything that you see connected to the board, the wiring to the board has been done. Now with the cards, with SATA data lines, I just leave the lines connected to the card, right? So that everything is in the exact order that it was in originally. So this card gets pulled off like this. So you see, there's data lines on there. You know, she does a lot of rendering videos and keeping videos stored. So, all right, my goodness, so much dust. So all these lines have to be disconnected. Okay. Now this one is a little bit different. I'll have to do a notation on that red and white. I'm going to make a little notation in my book so that when I look at that line, I don't go, whoa, where does this go? You know, a little notation in my book. System board. Okay. Very rough diagram. Yellow. Header. And then I'll put red and white wire. Red and white wire. And then that way I know that that's where it goes. So I don't know if the camera can get that. I'm almost tempted to take this light here and just drop it right down inside. I want the camera to see what I'm doing. I've disconnected a USB header. That's a USB header, and that's that's a Dell USB header. They actually sell these separately because they know that people actually have to have Dell's pinout for their USB, which is different than the standard motherboards. Yeah, so you want to bear that in mind. Here's another one. That's a fan. That's a fan header, so I'm not too worried about that because they're pretty self-explanatory. I could probably get away with unplugging that and suffering no real consequences. But just to be on the safe side, power switch. Power switch, and then fan, just so that if something should happen and I I don't get back to it for a couple of weeks or something, well, at least I'll know. So that's for the front fan. That wire. It's like a different system fan connector. And that's fine. USB. The red and white one can come off now. That's the red and white wire. Connected. It's already been notarized. So, and this would be for my power switch. It lines up with all my power. It's just like a USB connector, but you can tell by the colors of the wires that it's not your standard USB cable. So now, like I said before, this is an audio card. There's only one place it can plug in, so not too worried about, as long as I leave the wire connected. I mean, I could plug it in some other slot, but I'll just leave that card aside. That's a Creative Sound Blaster card. Now, I might want to just make a notation on on PCIe, just to make sure that everything is in the right order. Okay, PCIe. The first one is USB 3. That's right, we had this converted to USB 3 card, and it works, and the speeds are there. And then a second USB 3 card, which doesn't give you a line to the front. So I'll write back. I'll put a little F on the front here, so front 3. And I'm writing down the order that these cards come in. And 3 would be the sound card. And number 4 would be, this would be the graphics card, 4 graphics card. Okay, and I don't know that I had a card in here, to be honest. I don't think I did. It doesn't look like it. But number 4 would be the, yeah, because the graphics card covers it up, that's why. Blocks the access to that one PCIe 1. It's you know, no big loss. Okay, and then the bottom one is actually PCI, not PCIe, but just PCI for the slower drives, which are just basically backup drives for her and things of that nature. So I'll say 5 is blank, and write down 6 is PCI card. And I only have one PCI card. Alright. Some people would argue that that is PCI. PCIe, E as an express 1. And that this one here would be PCIe 2. And there's no PCIe 3 on here, but I disagree because I'm using DDR3 RAM. I think this is a PCIe 3 slot. Okay, so PCIe is used very loosely, that terminology. I just call it PCI because you can tell it's moved up different. It uses different terminals. Bigger terminals usually. Okay, but yeah, the bottom slot here, I don't know if you can see the difference, but you can see it comes closer to the back of the motherboard than the other ones, right? So, all right, so we're removing the cards. Whoops. I'm glad I magnetized that. Magnetize your screwdrivers, it comes in handy. And then this one, which has can take 2 front plugs, but I only have 1 because that's all she needs for her purposes. This card can come right out. She actually does use that for her backup. Okay. And I'll just pull this straight up. I don't even really have to undo the cable where it's plugged in. I could to make more room for myself, I suppose, but. And this is another fan. I'm hoping that the camera's getting all this. Let me look. Oh no, the camera's not getting this. Oh, this is terrible. I'm sorry. But I was basically just removing cards, so you're not really missing a whole lot. That's pretty easy work. Just removing the cards, pulling the card. But I did not realize, oh, that's why the edge, this here stops you from seeing what I'm doing. Well, that's too bad. All right, okay, I'll hold this over here. All I'm doing here is undoing a fan plug, and I'm holding it by the plug, not the wire, pulling it straight up, and it's a 3-pin fan plug. Okay. It doesn't even have to really be undone for the motherboard to come out, but I'm going to be removing this to get the CPU cooler. Right here, it has to be removed because I have to get to the CPU to transfer it to the other system board. So, I'm moving my light now, and hold on here. I just want to see if it's showing you what I have to get to. This is one of the hardest places. So I'm going to drop this light right in here to show you. Let's see, what have I got here? Here's my ugly big fingers. And you can't see anything as usual. Okay, hold on. Right in there. I see some yellow. Those yellow wires and this black plug, that is where the CPU, the power from the power supply to the CPU goes, right there. And those can be ornery. Those can be tough to unplug, but it has to be unplugged because we need that plug for the new system board that's going to be replaced with. So this I have to unplug, and I don't really know exactly if you can see my finger, how it has to push down on that, and then the clip has to be pulled up. So I need both hands for that. I'm just trying to figure out a way to give it light. I'm playing music off the heat sinks. Okay, let's see. I mean, it's showing the back of the fan. Yeah, the yellow is through the cord. All right. Well, that's really difficult to show you. Anyway. No wonder they don't do this. No wonder they don't make videos like this. But, yeah. But I have to unplug that. So, I'll show you what it looks like after I unplug it, because that's probably the only thing I can do. Sometimes you can use needle nose. Let me see. Pardon me. Maybe in my zipper case here, I might have. Yeah. Long pair of needle nose pliers. I really wish I could show you. See, I mean, I can see the yellow plug, or the yellow wiring from the plug. What I'm going to do here is try to cheat, because if my big ugly mitt's in there, you can't see it. Press down that way and hang on to the plug, pull up. Do you see that? Those have to be disconnected. Those are the CPU power plugs. And what I'm trying to do is grasp the plug itself while clipping, pressing down the clip. I could do this with my bare hands so much easier, so much faster. Well, see, I've got the plug there. See, these are the plugs. I'm hoping that I didn't give you too much brightness there, but these plugs are the plugs you're looking for. The CPU power. It goes directly to your processor chip. on the system board. Okay, so your main system board, there are two that go power supplies, or two power lines, main power lines that go directly to your system board for your processor chip and the rest of everything else that powers your PCI and your South Bridge and all your other stuff on your system board. That's this big boy here plug. So those are your two mains. Okay, and then the rest are for your SATA and your peripherals. So there's not much left to go here, to be honest. It's almost ready to be pulled. We're not pulling the power supply, we're just taking out the system board. Just making sure that everything is disconnected from the system board itself. And after we do that, I'm just checking a few things here, we will be good to go. So I don't know if this, I think this cooler screws directly on, so I may have to use the, may have to remove the cooler too. So I'll do that. It might go right into the metal casing, because some Dells are made that way. And if that's the case, then the cooler would be holding the system board right on to the, so there we go. Nice even job, very good job. I can see on the thermal paste there. Nice, it's thin but even. Very, very important to do that. Thin even layer. Of course it's kind of wrinkled up because I moved it, and you know. Alright, so what else is holding this on? Okay. Number of screws still. I don't know how. I should go look through the camera again and see what it's getting. As usual, the camera's not getting a whole lot. My tutorial video is becoming a failure. Oh well, hold on. I'll still put it up anyway, because there's probably something that you can glean from it. There we are. This is what I'm trying to do. You see, I'm just pulling the screws, the remaining screws, out of the system board. And once I do that, I'll be able to lift the system board out. And, you know, I don't know if I have to show you repeatedly over and over again me unscrewing a screw. It probably is quite boring. You have to really watch the pattern. ATX has a pattern. MITX has a pattern, you know. They all have a pattern. So, until you get them all out, the board is definitely not coming out, or you're going to have problems. I just, from experience, know where they are. You know, I've been doing this hundreds of times, so I don't think I've done 1,000 yet, but getting pretty close to it. Okay. Now the other thing is the I don't know how much it holds to the I/O system shield. System shield does look like it could come out, but because it's pretty well, from what I can see, there we are. I don't need to take the system shield out anyway, but I just wanted to show you that there you go. That's the board, all the dust and dirt and everything. Doesn't matter anyway. I have a friend who's very good at soldering, much better than I am, and he might replace the caps on this board for me. Again, let's see if I can get some light on here. Light on the situation. You see those by the RAM, or the RAM slots. I'm just trying to give you some light and show this to you. But clearly, hold on. Trying to give you some light. This cap and this cap they're definitely gone. And there were some others I was looking at that looked a little curved on top, you know, ready to go. So, you know, this one even looks blistered. Anyway, yeah, it's yeah, those can be replaced, and I'll let him have a look at it, and hopefully maybe he can bring it back to life. I hate seeing good system boards like this chucked. Well, you know, it's not that good, is it? But it's better than throwing away a whole computer, that's for sure. I can replace this and get this this whole system back